This is Boston, March 17th, 1990. The entire city is celebrating St. Patrick's Day. Every bar packed, every street loud, everyone looking sideways at everyone else. Nobody is paying attention to anything serious tonight, and that is exactly what two men are counting on. Now I need you to come with me, away from the party, away from the noise, down this street, to this building, right here. This is the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum, named after the woman who built it, filled it with $500 million worth of art, and then wrote a will that said nothing in here moves, ever. Right now, it is 1:20 a.m. The museum is closed, dark inside, and two men are walking toward the rear entrance. I want you to look at these two men carefully. We are going to call this one Man A, and this one Man B. Both of them are wearing Boston police uniforms. Now, inside the museum, this is the security monitoring station, and sitting right here is a security guard. We are going to call him Man G the whole video. His real name is Rick Abath, 23 years old, works overnight to pay his bills, plays guitar in a band on weekends, has absolutely no idea what is about to happen. The buzzer goes off. Man G looks at his monitor. He sees two police officers outside. Now I need you to remember something. Every security guard in this museum has been told one rule above everything else. Never open this door after hours without verification. Call the police department directly. Confirm the badge numbers are real. Do not open this door until you have verified. Man G looks at the screen. Man G looks at the two police officers, and Man G opens the door. That decision will trigger the largest art theft in history, and within 2 years, 4 men connected to this robbery will be dead. Now, A and B step inside, and here is the first thing I want you to look at carefully. The moment they walk in, Man A does not look at the art, does not look at the walls, does not look around like someone seeing this place for the first time. He looks at the cameras, every single one, like he already knows exactly where they are. Man A turns to the guards and says, "Step away from the desk," calm, flat, like a man reading from a script, and then he says 4 more words. "This is a robbery." Now, watch Man G in this moment, because investigators watched him too. Man G does not panic, does not lunge for an alarm, does not shout, does not run. He steps away from the desk, quietly, almost like he was expecting this. Keep that in the back of your mind. We are going to come back to Man G, and when we do, everything you think you know about this robbery is going to change. Man G and the second guard are handcuffed immediately, walked to the basement, hands taped, eyes taped, ankles secured to a pipe. Don't move, don't make noise, someone will come. And then A and B go upstairs. Now watch this carefully, because the museum has 2 security systems, cameras and motion sensors. A and B knew exactly where every camera was, and they avoided every single one. Perfectly. Not almost perfectly, perfectly. Think about what that means. You do not avoid every camera in a building you have never been inside. You avoid every camera in a building someone walked you through beforehand. Someone told them exactly where to look, exactly where not to walk, exactly which angles to stay out of. But the motion sensors, those were still running, recording every room they entered, every path they took, every single minute. And when investigators analyzed that sensor data, they found something that changes this entire case, something nobody has been able to explain for 34 years. I am going to show you exactly what that is, but first, look at what they take, because what A and B choose to steal and what they choose to leave behind is the single biggest clue in this entire investigation. They go to the Dutch room first, second floor, and they do not browse, they do not wander, they walk straight to exactly what they want. Watch this. Two men executing a shopping list written by someone else. Rembrandt's Christ in the Storm on the Sea of Galilee, the only seascape Rembrandt ever painted in his entire life. One painting, one artist, one moment that can never be recreated. They cut it from the frame with a knife. Gone. Now Vermeer's The Concert. Stop. One of only 34 Vermeers known to exist on Earth, possibly the most valuable missing painting on the entire planet. Gone. Now stop right here. Look at this wall. Right there. There's another Rembrandt hanging on the same wall, worth tens of millions of dollars. They look at it and walk away. They leave it. Why would two men stealing art walk past a Rembrandt worth tens of millions of dollars and not take it? Because it was not on the list. Somebody wrote a very specific list of exactly what to take, and that Rembrandt was not on it. Whoever wrote that list knew this room, knew these paintings intimately, knew exactly which ones had a specific buyer, a specific purpose, a specific reason for being taken. Hold on to that. They take a small Rembrandt sketch, move to another gallery, take 5 Degas sketches, not the most valuable things in the room, 5 specific ones, chosen deliberately. Then they stop at a display case. Inside, a Napoleonic flag, an actual flag from Napoleon's personal regiment, worth millions. They can't get it off the wall, screwed in too tight. So they look at the very top of the flagpole, small bronze eagle, decorative, ornamental. They unscrew it, take just the eagle, a bronze decoration from the top of a stick. Now think about this. Why would someone take a decorative eagle from the top of a stick and walk past a Rembrandt worth tens of millions of dollars? That question is one of the keys to this entire case. The answer is connected directly to who wrote that list. We're getting there. And this is where the robbery stops making sense, because the evidence suggests something impossible happened inside this museum, something the FBI could not explain for 34 years. I am going to show you exactly what that is, but first, look at what they take, because what A and B choose to steal and what they choose to leave behind is the single biggest clue in this entire investigation. The knob-nosed weapon seen on one end is a screwdriver used to pry the frame from the wall. The Blue Room, Manet's Chez Tortoni, a painting worth millions, stolen that night. Now look at the motion sensor data. A and B never entered the Blue Room, not once, not for a single second, but the Chez Tortoni was stolen. So if they were never in that room, who took it? The motion sensors recorded only one person in the Blue Room that entire night. One person, Man G. Now, remember what I told you at the very beginning. Keep Man G in the back of your mind, because here it is. The FBI cleared Rick Abath early in the investigation, called him too young, too foolish, too incompetent to have been involved. But here is what the FBI's own lead investigator said. Jeffrey Kelly, the man who ran this investigation for 20 years, in his very first public interview, March 2025, 35 years after this robbery, he said he is convinced Rick Abath was involved. Watch what he found. Clue 1. The night before the robbery, security footage shows Man G opening the exact same side door A and B would use the following night and letting in an unidentified man. Long coat, collar turned up, face obscured. Man G never explained who that man was. The museum's own security director said this footage raised more questions than anything else in the entire case. That visit was the final check. Somebody needed to walk through this museum one last time, look Man G in the eyes and say, "Tomorrow night." Clue 2. On the night of the robbery, before A and B ever arrived, Manji disabled the museum's fire alarm panel. He said a fire alarm had gone off during his rounds, couldn't find a fire, so he disabled the entire system.
Meaning when A and B arrived, the alarm was already down by the inside man before they even knocked on the door. Clue 3. Minutes before buzzing them inside, Man G opens a side door briefly, then closes it. No recorded reason. Jeffrey Kelly believes this was a signal. The signal that said, "Everything is ready. Come now." Clue 4. Man G had handed in his 2-week notice around this exact time. He was already planning to leave. Clue 5. The Blue Room, the Chaise Tortoni. Only his footsteps. Kelly's conclusion, Man G took the Chaise Tortoni himself during his patrol rounds, set it aside somewhere in the museum, left it for A and B to collect on their way out. His personal contribution to the robbery. He had spent weeks helping plan. And then, after everything was done, A and B left one empty frame behind, not placed on a wall, placed on a chair. The chair of the museum's security director, the one person Man G was known to have serious personal conflicts with. A message from someone who knew exactly who sat in that chair. Man G maintained his innocence until he died in 2024. But look at what we have. The unidentified visitor the night before, the disabled alarm, the signal door, the 2-week notice, the Blue Room footsteps, the frame on the security director's chair. Man G was not a victim of this robbery. He was part of it. Now the question is, who recruited a 23-year-old overnight security guard and convinced him to help steal $500 million? When investigators followed the trail out of this museum, it didn't lead to art dealers, it didn't lead to collectors, it didn't lead to anyone in the art world at all. It led to organized crime. Come with me. Follow the string out of this museum, down through Boston, into Dorchester, to a garage. TRC Auto Electric. Looks like an ordinary auto body shop, but this garage is the hub of everything. Run by a man named Carmelo Merlino, known mob associate, connected to the Patriarca crime family, the most powerful organized crime organization in New England for decades. Every major suspect in this case traces back to this garage. The FBI's own retired lead investigator named Merlino directly as the man who organized this robbery. Now watch what he said about him, because this changes how you see the entire heist. Merlino's plan was not sophisticated, not the work of a criminal mastermind. His idea was simple: steal a couple of paintings from a small museum, make some quick money. He did not understand what he was walking into. He did not understand that this little museum on this quiet street held some of the most valuable art on Earth. Kelly believes that when Merlino woke up on March 19th, turned on the news, and realized what they had actually done, it terrified him. They had stumbled into the heist of the century with absolutely no plan for what to do next. The 2 men he sent into that museum were not master art thieves. One of them was a petty criminal, recently released from prison after 16 years on a wrongful conviction, knew how to stay calm, knew how to move through spaces quietly. The other was connected to home invasions, comfortable with restraint, comfortable with making sure nobody caused problems. These are A and B, not criminal geniuses. 2 ordinary men who stumbled into something extraordinary. And after the robbery, watch what happens next. A painting of a man in a top hat appeared on one of their apartment walls shortly after March 18th. Matching the description of the Chaise Tortoni exactly. The painting Man G had set aside in the Blue Room, taken home as a souvenir. He had absolutely no idea how much danger that painting put him in. Now, watch what happens, because this is where the case goes cold, fast. The man with the painting on his wall, dead. cocaine overdose. His partner, found in the trunk of a car in East Boston, shot, June 1991. The mob-connected figure who linked the criminal world to this robbery, found stabbed, nearly beheaded, trunk of an abandoned Cadillac, September 1991. A mob associate who had been boasting openly that he had access to the stolen paintings, shot dead outside his home, February 1991. 4 people, all directly connected to the Gardner heist, all dead within 18 months of the robbery. Jeffrey Kelly called it a chilling effect on the entire investigation. Someone was cleaning house. Someone with enough reach to silence every single person who knew too much before the FBI could get to any of them. And that kind of cleanup does not come from a garage owner in Dorchester. That comes from above him, from the organization he answered to. They had the paintings now, and they were making absolutely certain nobody could ever trace them back. The art does not disappear with the dead men. It moves. Watch this trail carefully, out of Boston, through the criminal network, into the hands of someone connected to the same organization. When that man is dying, his wife goes to investigators and tells them directly he had 2 of the Gardner paintings in his possession. She had begged him for years to get rid of them. He passes them before he dies to a Connecticut mobster. In 2012, an FBI informant walks into a field office and says this man showed him a handwritten list, every stolen Gardner painting, with prices written beside each one. He was actively trying to sell them. The FBI searches his property multiple times, digs up the yard, goes through every room. Nothing found. But here is what is documented. The FBI announced publicly in 2013 the art left Boston, traveled through Connecticut to Philadelphia, and was last confirmed in the Philadelphia area around 2003. The Connecticut mobster dies in 2021, 83 years old, never speaks. The art last confirmed in Pennsylvania more than 20 years ago. So, here is what the evidence tells us. Man G opened that door, not because he was naive, because he was recruited. He let someone into this museum the night before to run a final check. He disabled the alarm before they arrived. He gave the signal when they were outside. He took the chaise Tortoni himself and left it for collection. A and B walked through that door, sent by a mob-connected garage owner who thought he was planning a simple robbery, and stumbled into the largest art theft in history. The art moved through the criminal network, Boston to Connecticut to Philadelphia, confirmed by the FBI's own investigation, confirmed by a dying man's wife, confirmed by an informant who saw the list with prices written beside each one. The FBI cannot prove this in a courtroom because every single one of them is dead, but the evidence connecting every single one of them is documented, public record, laid out by the FBI's own retired lead investigator in 2025, and it has never been put together like this in one place until right now. There is a room in this museum. You can visit it today. Gold frames, dark walls, empty since 1990. Secrets do not die with the people who keep them. They just wait. Somewhere tonight, Rembrandt's only seascape is in a room. Possibly the most valuable missing painting on Earth is somewhere. The museum tip line is active. $10 million is unclaimed, and those frames are still empty. One theory in the comments, one door you would open, one question you would ask, because we just laid out every documented piece of evidence in one place, and the paintings are still out there. Find them. $10 million is waiting.